and using drugs since you were 12.
That's correct.
How'd you get started?
I got taken out of my house when I was 12.
Kicked out?
No, foster care took me. And then I got involved with a bunch of people who started smoking marijuana and drinking, and I thought it was cool at first, and so I did that.
And it went to speed. It started with marijuana.
It started with marijuana and
went to
alcohol.
speed and acid and cocaine.
Right.
And freebasing.
Right.
Do you have flashbacks?
Yes, all the time.
I hear that that's very bad. Is it bad?
It makes me want to get high.
It isn't bad.
I miss the high when I have flashbacks. Like acid flashbacks. Like I see things and it makes me want to get high on acid again because I haven't been high on acid in a while.
Because that's the release.
Right.
Tell me about your life. When you say they took you out of your home, tell me about how you grew up. Our producer said pretty crummy. Was it pretty crummy?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, she always told me that I'd be nothing, and I would add up to nothing, and even now, still to this day, she tells me that.
That you would be nothing.
Right.
And you dropped out of school about the 9th grade?
Yeah, 9th grade, yes.
Why?
Because all I wanted to do was get high. I didn't care about my education.
What did your mother say then?
She didn't care.
She said it doesn't matter if you drop out of school because you're never going to be good at anything?
Right, basically.
How do the drugs make you feel? What do they do for you?
It numbs me. I don't feel anything when I'm high.
Is numb the best you can be?
Basically, because you chase after a high, and it's not the same high that you first get when you start getting high at first. And
you told us that you get drunk Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
What do you drink?
I drink beer and peach schnapps, but mostly vodka.
How much vodka?
Probably close to 2/5 a weekend. Maybe more than that.
A weekend. That's a lot of vodka. Why do you drink?
I guess I like the feeling of being drunk, so I don't have to like deal with anybody's attitude towards me, or the pressures from home or
Wait,
rules.
who has an attitude toward you?
Mostly my mom, my family, my friends.
Why?
It just, I don't know, sometimes it feels like, I need more, I don't know, my mom doesn't really, spend that much time with me because of the fact that she has like 3 other kids, and,
Right.
I like hanging out with my friends and not being able to feel anything.
How is school going for you?
I think the highest grade I have right now is probably a D-.
But you are very bright. You should be making really good grades. Right? It isn't like it isn't there. You know what I mean? It isn't like it isn't there. You got it. Why are the grades so low?
Well, probably because I have this problem with teachers. I don't want to follow the rules with teachers. I don't like it. I don't like what they have to tell me about, like if I'm supposed to do this and do that, and I don't know, I just don't choose to listen to them.
Okay.
So I don't choose to
So
do
let
the
us
homework.
try to understand about the pressure. Try to explain it to me. You get the feeling that everybody... Okay, why?
I wanted to try a drug. I've heard a lot about it. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I decided I wanted to experience a different high. So I moved on to crank, and then heroin, cocaine, and then I got in with the wrong people and started using a needle. Shooting, slamming, what they're called, speedballs.
Speedballs, coke and crystal meth?
It's coke, heroin, and meth mixed.
And meth mixed.
The needle was my downfall. The needle and the meth was what got me.
What do your parents think?
Very scared, very worried, unsure. There's not much they know about it. They don't understand.
How'd you get the drugs at 14?
Getting drugs is easy.
Oh, very easy. Very. I could walk out right now. Very, very easy. Then you dated a drug dealer who supplied you for free.
Oh, yeah. If you date drug dealers or you just have the right, I guess you say right friend, then...
What's happened in school?
School, I'm no longer in school. I'm getting my GED and high school equivalency. I don't think I could go back to high school. I don't want to.
Mother Irene. Sheila, you said we want to talk about what it's like for you, okay? You haven't heard what your daughter has said. What's going on in the house? What's life like?
She's very rebellious.
She told us that.
She doesn't like rules.
She said, I don't like rules, and I don't want anyone to tell me
what to do and when to do it. And when she gets up and leaves, you know, I'd like nothing more than to be able to go after her and yank her back. But I have a baby that's in bed. I have a 7-year-old that's in bed, and she knows I can't chase her.
You know that she's experimented with marijuana and alcohol. Does she talk to you about it?
Yes. She has talked to me about it.
She told us that she's been hiding a lot of the drinking from you. But she thinks it's pretty serious. Is it pretty serious? Pretty serious. You want to tell your mother what you've told us?
When I go out with Frankie and Nicole, I drink a lot. A lot.
She doesn't say this to hurt you, but I think in an attempt to finally clear the slate so that you can understand a lot of what's going on in her head. She drinks 1/5 of vodka a day every weekend or 2. That's a lot of alcohol. Is it true?
Yes.
Okay. Says helps her to manage the stress and take the edge off. She feels she's being hassled. And when she feels she's being hassled, the first thing she does is, I wish I had a drink. Wendy's mother, Irene, did you know early on that she had a drug problem?
I knew she was doing drugs last summer. I didn't realize to what extent she was using.
It creeps up on you.
Yeah, and she was telling me, no, Mom, it's not that bad. I've got it under control. Everything's cool. It's a summer party.
But it wasn't under control, was it? No way. You've told us you're actually more angry now than when you first learned she was using.
Yeah, I was terrified when I found out the extent. And when she had run away for 4 days, and when she came home, the shape she was in was frightening. Now, she's been out since November, and now I feel anger. You know, I feel
Who
like...
are you angry at?
I get angry at the people that supply it. I get angry at her.
Anna, it was coke, cane, and then pills, and then using crank. Bettina, let me start with you. Last year you noticed a change in your daughter,
Yes, ma'am.
and you suspected drugs.
Not at first. I just thought it was a lot of peer pressure. You know, she was the last person in the world that I would have thought.
See, I made like good grades and everything, and my mom tries to tell me that, you know, I'm pretty enough to be a model, but I can look in the mirror and like, no, man, there's no way. And I was
in your school, when you made good grades, did that make you a wimp or a wuss?
I didn't want to be called a nerd.
A nerd. So you did well and made good grades and were called a nerd. And when you're using, you're not a nerd. You're cool when you're using.
I just like the high. Makes
Just
me feel
like
good.
the high. What did you do, Mom?
When I found out that she was into drugs, I freaked. Went berserk, crazy, and was hospitalized for 3 days myself.
Are you still smoking?
No, I've been clean for about 2 months.
She grew up in a close-knit family. Her dad is a pastor. Her parents are missionaries who run a church. Dad recently had a stroke. When Leanna was 12, she started using drugs like our other guests. Did you start with marijuana?
Yeah, I did.
Moved into any drug she could get her hands on: cocaine, heroin, crystal meth, ecstasy, acid, uppers and downers. I would imagine that would be putting your parents through hell.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
An understatement.
Yeah.
You ran away from home in October and was gone for 2 months. Linda, why didn't you look for her?
Well, I knew that she left because she wanted to leave. She left 2 messages on the answering machine. She knew she could have called when I was home, and she could have gotten me. She didn't want to talk to me. And all I did was get a caller ID, and I waited.
But you didn't go after her.
I couldn't. I didn't know where. Every time that I would...
What I will accept, from you, and what I will accept in my home, which is ultimately very helpful to Leanna.
But that took 2 years.
Absolutely.
For me to get to that point.
I work with parents over a number of years to get them to recognize what their limit is. It's very hard to say no to your child, and it's also preferable to believe that they'll figure it out and get better, that it's not going to get that far.
It's harder to do what she did than what I would do, which is go after her, go after the child.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's harder to do that. It's real easy to go after the child.
Of course.
What do you do if you see what some of these mothers have seen, a change in your child's behavior? What the heck do you do?
Talk about it as soon as possible with your child and get professional help if needed as soon as possible. Try not to wait. I think parents want to believe that it's going to be okay, and they don't want to blame themselves, so it's almost like, gee, there's a problem, I hope it's not my fault, I'll ignore it, maybe it'll get better. It's not about self-blame, and they don't need to deny what's going on. Right.
Okay. You say that coming home after rehab is the hardest part of all of this for the teenager and the parent. Should all be aware that coming home is the hardest part.
I do believe that. I find that to be the most critical time when I'm working with families, because kids have to figure out how to stay sober. There's only so much a parent can do. The adolescent really needs to figure that out by her himself quite a bit. Their whole life has changed, and parents don't trust their children at this point. They're very afraid that they'll make a mistake and set their kid off on